You're now tuned in.
You're now tuned in.
You are now tuned in.
You're now tuned in.
You are now tuned in
to the Juxtaposition Podcast. What's going on, y'all? This is Var from the Juxtaposition Podcast. Before you get into this episode, I want to say a few things. Number one, this episode is dedicated to Black women. Now, we as 5 Black men are no experts in the space of what it means to be a Black woman. What we were hoping to do is to be an ally and as best of a resource as possible. As you listen to this episode, I want you to understand that we are not perfect, and we are aspiring to get as much information as possible in order to be the best resource we can for you. We want to protect you and are there for you. So with that being said, welcome to the episode. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Juxtaposition, aka the Extraordinary Nobodies. My name is Var. What's going on, y'all? How y'all feeling?
Good,
Hey, what up?
Feeling great.
Man.
KV, how's your week been, bro?
Week's been tough, man. Had a pretty good week so far. Today was kind of like the slow pace of it, actually. Just kind of ended like today's like my Friday, basically, in my week. Man, my weeks are kind of like off schedule. But all in all, it was pretty good. Had a solid week. Didn't get some movement in, but I got some movement coming up tomorrow. So I'm low-key excited about that. Kind of been working in the house a lot lately. And
you ain't been getting no sun? Your island skin ain't been desiring no sun?
Went to the beach. I went to the park on Monday.
Okay.
Hung out there, did some work there, aka the club.
AKA the club. The club.
Oh, the park. You know what I mean? It actually went to DC, but shout out to that
the park. And the park. Sure. I see what he did there.
Yeah. James, what's up, man? What's up with you?
Not much, man. I haven't been out of the house since like Saturday. So I haven't been doing much. My internship started on Monday. So it's like a strict schedule. Like every hour there's something else. You got to be on these calls. Yeah. And everything is tracked and monitored and stuff like that.
Tracked and monitored? What?
Yeah, to make sure that you're participating, so you're not just like not logging in because it's not this week is not, you're not in your line of business. So it's basically all 2,000 interns just on these basic calls. So it's a lot about compliance and risk. And like today we was on a call with the CEO, which I thought was kind of cool because my 6.5 years, I've never actually seen him talk live. Like,
wow.
Right. But as an intern, he has like a full conversation.
He got time.
Like a question and answer. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, but that was kind of cool. So that's basically what it is. And then there's also some training intertwined in there. So like yesterday it was accounting training. Today was data literacy training. And then we had projects from those trainings that we have to complete. So, you know,
what's interesting is that because I'm not in the finance industry, all I heard was want. Compliance, got it.
The reason why your CEO talking to the interns and not the regular workers is because he seeing who he gonna fire and replace them with.
Right.
To them, y'all go to
the clip. He loading the clip
he gave like some good. He was basically, someone asked a question like, what does it take to get hired like full time afterwards? And he was like, look, just don't do anything that we can't hire you before, right? And he was like, you'll be back. So that's kind of cool. You know what I mean?
Like guaranteeing jobs, pretty much.
Right. Almost. He's like, just don't do anything. Don't mess Participate. Up. Just don't do anything that we can't hire you for.
Yeah, like don't tweet nothing racist.
Listen, a part of like every day this week, it was talk about how the bank is. Now they got like this $1 billion initiative over the next 4 years to donate money to racial inequalities and things like that. I think they're donating like $100 million to the Smithsonian. So they got a lot of talk about the diversity. I think like 32% of the interns are either Black or Latino.
That means 30% Latino, 2% Black. My man.
I was gonna break it down. Is 14% Black, 17% Latino.
Okay.
Yeah.
But at least they're moving in the right direction. They're moving in the right direction. And for the viewers that can't see, James is sipping on something good right now, and I wish I had some.
James, what you got in a cup? What you drinking on that? Red?
Yeah. So it's this wine that that's aged in whiskey barrels. So it
Buckshot.
almost looks like
Sounds
a
racist.
whiskey bottle.
Right. That sounds like a
Buckshot.
transporter made that in his head.
Buckshot.
Buckshot.
Hey man, it's a Cabernet Sauvignon.
Okay.
Hey man,
okay.
talk that shit, man.
Buckshot,
I heard that.
whatever you want to call it. Yo, we looking for sponsorships too. So holla.
Buckshot was good.
Got
Center barrel.
the Bonjour. I like that.
So what's shaking in your world? What's going on?
Well, I have standard stuff with work. I actually went out in the field today to go try to get some new business, and I pulled up on a couple of job sites. I didn't see too many people who look like me, so I'm gonna have to reinforce and let them know that they might want to turn on their television. It's time to start hiring people.
I don't know if you heard or not, but
they
we in
might
demand.
with the program before I shut their ass down. And like Al Sharpton's like right over the bridge, so it's like, all right, cool. But I think the best thing though that happened for me this week was I actually got a chance to see my line brother. I visited Massachusetts and was at Cleveland House over the
Snap.
weekend.
Yeah, man.
Fire.
It was
Yeah.
like it was an impromptu visit. We had to go pick up my grandmother-in-law and who was like maybe an hour from him. So we was just like, yo, we pulling up. Got in the car, pulled up, had some breakfast. He top chefed it up.
Hey.
This is nice.
So
Mary
nice
Cleveland can cook.
Bro,
Yeah.
I can cook, dog.
I even know. I mean,
I ain't
your
even
family.
I ain't even gonna act shy. I ain't even gonna act coy.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's me. So you go ahead, bring us home, Cleve. How was your week?
Oh man, it was good. As Zoe mentioned, I got to see my line brother on Sunday or Saturday, whatever day it was, Saturday. So that was cool. But man, my week has been great. The best thing I've seen this week was actually the scale, bro. I'm down 20 pounds.
Baby.
What's ill was you said you hit a plateau 2 weeks ago, and
man.
And you was at 12.
I was at 12 and I hit 8 really quickly, man. I got the last 8. It was I changed up my nutrition a little bit. I think I was eating too heavy. I had to talk to Gabe about it.
Portions.
Yeah, Gabe had me eating like I was about to go like hit the NFL football field or something. I'm like, bro, that's a lot of food. And so we tweaked that a little bit, man, and it just started. It's falling off, man. So I feel good. My body feels good. Like I had like crazy lower back pain. That's gone.
I'm trying to tell you,
a little bit because
my man from Paid in Full. My body different.
My body
feel different.
Hey, Cleve, why your knees hurt?
I don't know, man. Like, maybe like 2 weeks ago, I started experiencing it, man. I was jogging because I jog every other day when I'm not working with Gabe, and they just started hurting me when I was jogging. Gabe gave me like a different way to run that helped a little bit, man. But they just get sore. I be icing them down.
Yeah, it's a thing. Check your shoes too. Sometimes you gotta upgrade on the shoes, and that can help in the sole. That's a thing you gotta pay attention to because how you land does affect your knees. Like, and if it's not the sneaker, I would recommend new sneakers, especially if you're gonna start running. And then stretch a lot. I'll show you a couple after this, but just stretch a lot. Like, because it's reversible, but if you don't pay attention to it, it becomes chronic. It becomes a bigger issue. So,
good look. I appreciate that. I definitely need some man.
Gym time came early this week.
Oh man,
sheesh, gym time.
Take it from Kev because Kev and I are both flat-footed, so like that's where your knees will really give you a problem because of the way you landing and pounding. So definitely we share ideas between each other on shoes and insoles and orthotics and all that good stuff. So that definitely you want to look into.
Yeah. Who gonna give you podiatry advice first 15 minutes in the podcast?
Insoles.
And you never know what you're gonna get.
You the Harlem Globetrotters. I'm trying to tell y'all, man. And for the viewers who don't know and the listeners, we are in 5 different locations across the country. I don't know if we state that enough. I'm in California. Alonzo and James are in New Jersey. Cleveland's in Maryland. I'm sorry, Kevin's in Maryland and Cleveland is in Massachusetts. We don't state that enough, and we might need to slide that in the intro.
Yeah, for sure. Right? A little something. Shut out
your boy
state.
reporting live.
Roll call.
Boy, Young Buck.
Roll call. Right.
I'm gonna transition to. I was gonna. Zoe in Cleveland gave us the best thing they've seen this week. I'll tell you about my week and the best thing that I saw this week. The best thing that I saw this week was I feel like people are getting it. This black shit. People are understanding. I'm so excited that like it's not a passing fad. It's like people are really asking questions, and like usually on like your feed, it kind of dies down after a couple weeks. It's still like intense. My favorite part of that is when white people check other white people. Man, oh man, that shit is fantastic. You remember when we was kids, it was the NBA. It's fantastic. That's how I feel when white people check other white people. It's like, man, my heart smiles because they be wilding. They go hard. They really go hard. It's kind of funny. But my week has been a little heavy, man. Like with the ability to still see some progress, it's still a lot going on in the world. It's still some of us not making it home. So that's been weighing a little heavy on me. And before I transition to our first topic, I wanted to give Kev and James the opportunity to tell us the best thing they've seen this week as well.
For me, it's kind of similar to what you were saying, Var. People seem like they're getting it. Better late than never, I guess. You know, sometimes you might want to question if people are being genuine about their approach to this, but at this point, you know, like I said, it's better late than never. So today, actually, I'm like home, and then I realized that my wife had to hop on like a mandatory conference call with her master's program. So like the entire program, the director and everything jumped on a call to talk about the social injustices that were happening and some of the changes that they were making with everyone, and kind of sharing some of their stories from when they were younger. So I guess like one of the directors was like, she was cleaning out like her attic, then came across like a high school picture of her class. And she was like, you know, everyone looked like her. Basically, everyone was white. And then the same thing about, she came across her college picture of her sorority that she was in, and everyone looked like her. So she was like, you know, she can't change the past, but you know, what we do now can definitely affect the now and the future. So they definitely are getting it, it seemed like.
Amazing. That's a fire. That's the fact that they made that mandatory and they want to make sure that everybody get the message. That's so dope. How about you, Kev? What's the best thing to see you this week?
All right, so I'm gonna continue that same energy from last week, and I'm gonna throw this on to me again.
Talk about it.
Yeah, we're gonna
talk about it.
We're gonna keep it going. But I had an opportunity to have some really good things to say in class the other day. More specifically, talking about your mission, vision, and what are your values. And they asked us to do that, but it was kind of like laid back approach, but it was no one really was prepared. So when I went, I was kind of like, I kind of took some time on that because I've been thinking about it a lot. And you know, what am I here for? What am I doing? So I kind of elaborated on my mission, which is to help the world move better. You know, for all intents and purposes, not just on physical tip.
But you trademark that shit. That shit good.
Shout out. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say that now, but
sorry, it's already trademarked.
It's already today on June 17, 2020, 9:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then I kind of elaborated into like why that was and how that became to be a thing, and I kind of toward backdrop on that. Then I moved on to the vision, and the vision was to be a leader of an agent of change in public health. I see there's an opportunity by using universal language or something like that, you know. So we kind of entertained that and told them the reason why. And then our values were respect, grit, and empathy. And those are our three values, core values. And so I kind of expelled that. And, you know, I got some good feedback, which was pretty cool. And so I kind of been feeling good, like kind of like taking on this like thing that's kind of being embodied. It's a little sooner, but challenging status quo a little bit too.
Yeah, congrats on that, bro. Congrats
thanks.
On that.
Appreciate that.
No, that's major when you get a chance to use your voice and like your voice, what's in your head, and you kind of get a chance to see people respond to you, and like you kind of gain that confidence as you go through. So shout out to you for that, Kev.
Shout out, appreciate you.
Yeah. So that also brings me to our first topic, and as y'all know, this has been weighing heavy on my spirit, and for like I mentioned earlier, this week has been tough because there's been a few realizations that I've had, and these things haven't been they've always been going on, but I think as you get older and as you get to a certain place, you begin to observe and pay attention, and things that you thought made sense do not make sense anymore. And the topic that I'm speaking about is support from Black men to Black women. Now, I speak on this because it's come to my attention that there are Black women who feel very, very insecure about their interactions with Black men, and they don't feel supported or protected, or even they don't feel like Black men prefer Black women. And when I look at us and I look at our significant others, all of us have experienced dating Black women, marrying Black women, living with Black women, but we also all come from families of Black women and sisters and things of that nature. So I wanted us to have a conversation about, how do you feel when you hear somebody say something like Black men don't support Black women?
That's definitely I mean, hearing that phrase, and it sounds so definitive, right? Black men don't support Black women. It's like, I know it sounds like a general, but if that's how our Black women are feeling, I think it's incumbent upon us to make sure that we make the change, and we go about our beings and what we do, and kind of go out of our way to make sure that we show them that we care, and we kind of step up to the plate with that. How that looks, I don't know right now off the top of my head, to be completely honest. But one thing you can never do is tell anybody how they should feel about anything, regardless. Right. So if that's the message that we're receiving from our Black women, then we need to make sure that we figure out ways to support them. And for me personally, I'm married to a Black woman, right? And in reality, we all are, right? It doesn't matter, you know, if you're Puerto Rican, you're Black, right? So
right.
It doesn't matter. So, I mean, one place that we can start is with our own wives or girlfriend, to make
Shots
sure
fired.
that we know how we know how we I don't want to throw no cast on anybody. I want you to step up to the plate too soon now.
Wives and VAR.
Well, you know, we can have those conversations with them first, and kind of see how we can use our platform to make sure that they have a voice.
Man, you spoke so eloquently just now about the thing that like I've been struggling with. And I think that, I'll speak for myself, but I think that we're alike in this way, all of us, is that the people that I surround myself with, you all, people that live in California, all have the utmost respect for Black women and treat them as such. Like the disrespect, I think this tweet that kind of resonated was like, don't be screaming, support Black women, but like your friend violates all the time, or your cousin that you hang around with always is calling somebody a bitch. It's like, there's some hypocrisy there. There's some truth there. But it was hard for me to see the disrespect because the people who I surround myself with don't participate in that kind of activity. You know what I mean?
And that's almost like, hold on. So think about it from the aspect of how we say that white people need to speak up.
Yep, that's right? Where I got it from. Yep.
Yeah, and we want them to speak up, and then we say, well, you know, they don't know what they don't know. Right. But how I was saying last week, like, no, you know what's right, you know what's wrong, right? And it's the same thing. Can't be hypocrites in this situation, right? Obviously, Black Lives Matter, and we know that, and we feel strongly, but we can't be hypocrites when it comes to not understanding how our Black women feel.
That's a fact. So I know you're going to enjoy this part. I kind of hazed myself a little bit today because I needed to hear the harsh truth. And guess who I called? Lynette Barnes. I went
What?
I went in and we had a conversation and it was fruitful, yo. Super, super fruitful. And I'll elaborate more on what I learned, but we had a moment where we understood each other. And for the listeners, Lynette is a very super smart, super sharp, but at times she was not playing around with us. If we were wrong, she was snapping back she tried to keep us in check as best as she possibly could. As best as she could, as best she knew how, as best as she had the language. But she's somebody that I look at as like super knowledgeable in the space of like advocacy and allyship for Black people and Black women. So, but I'll let the rest of y'all speak about your experience and ways that we need to step up for Black women. Go ahead, Zoe.
We had a little brief conversation earlier today, and I actually took your advice. I actually went and talked to my sister, who's a Black woman, and she actually had a conversation with one of her friends, who's a male in another Black Greek org, and he asked her like kind of like how white people ask like, well, what can I do? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I respected that. He asked her like, what do you want? What do you feel? Like, how is it that you feel disrespected? And so she kind of gave me a little list. I have a couple of notes here.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love it.
So she responded to the guy and said, I think I need you guys to be intentional and conscious about speaking about Black women. So I took that as, how, like, when we say the N-word, like, I don't like saying it around mixed company, so to speak. I don't like saying the N-word around, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of in-house. So, like, if we're speaking recklessly out in public about them, people are going to think that's okay.
They'll follow. Like they can join in. Yep.
Yeah. She said also just listen, like how you said, like, we got to listen to their feelings. We have to have real dialogue. This was key to her. We have that real dialogue with our friends, like our boys, and like check them.
Yes.
So like she showed me this stuff. I said this stuff was disturbing because I never seen it before. I never seen like these videos of groups of dudes just doing stupid stuff, dunking the chicken in the freezer or like in the garbage can or something crazy. And I'm like, yo, where is this at? Because I'm not around that. Like, you know what I'm saying? I never was around that type of stuff. And there was one where like this, like even cat calling, and she was saying like there's a difference between like persistence and harassment. And then when you with somebody's difference between protective and controlling.
Yeah.
And difference between joking and humiliating. Like there's one thing we joking, but you trying to bomb in front of the group or trying to embarrass me. So those are things that I think that dudes do. But there was one joint that was disturbing as hell to me. She showed me like where the girl like didn't want to holler at him, so she faded him, and he hit her in the face
with a skateboard. Bro.
Yeah, my wife just showed me that literally like an hour ago.
Me too.
Yo,
my man, listen, let me explain something to you.
Bro.
That remember like in our first show when I was saying how some people don't need to be here, that is a prime example of when I say they need to be removed, like, because that was
I didn't see that
like that, and I don't know, with not having no father, none of that is justifiable for that. Like none of that stuff is an excuse. So
sticky.
Yeah, she was telling me those things, and I kind of wanted to break that down. Like, I get the persistence versus harassment because sometimes dudes be doing too much.
Yeah.
And I think the problem is it's a double-edged sword, right? So
hold on,
it's a dog chasing
before you get to the solutions, because I think what you have right here is a good topic in itself. So pause on that. I want to hear the other two guys. We can kind of circle back to you because I think that those actionable items is something that we can talk about as a collective. Cleveland, how you feel about the topic.
So to be honest, like hearing it, to your point, Var, like hearing that Black women don't feel supported by Black men, I'm like, it kind of cuts a little different, because it's like, dang, like I know what I do for the women in my life, and I know how I value the Black women in my life, and I know how all y'all value the Black women in your life. So for me, I guess, to your point, not really being exposed to people that's just like tripping or wilding, or surrounding myself around individuals like that, it kind of cuts like that. Like, what am I missing, right? And y'all hit on other topics, man. It's similar to racism. Like, if we're gonna call ourselves allies of Black women, we first have to understand why they feel as if we're not supporting them, and we have to sit and listen. And there may be some stuff that maybe we do unintentionally that like could be supporting the problem and not supporting the solution. And then I think also we have to be, in order to be a true ally, you have to fight against what they're fighting against, and respect the person that you're fighting with, right? So I think that's another thing. Like, I feel like I understand from my wife's point of view. I understand how I feel about my daughter and my family members, and of course all of my friends as well. But I'm really like interested into like what has led to this like swell of Black women feeling unprotected, unimportant, and unsupported. Like that kind of cuts deep, man. So once we get to solutions, I have some thoughts and ideas. But my first step is understand, and the second step is to learn, so I can prove that I am an ally. You know what I mean?
Before I kick it to KV, to your point, I don't think that it's an influx. I just think that many more people have voices. And I think that more people have the strength to speak about it. Very similar to how women were being abused in the Me Too movement. You see something that you can identify with, and you're like, I feel that way. And then you kind of speak to it. But I think that it's always been there. But I think it more or less it's not a moment, it's a movement. It's happening, and we have to pay attention. But go ahead, KV.
Yeah, man. I'm feeling like I feel all of that. I feel all of that, every bit of it. Feeling like more like Wale. Shit, man. I'm all for Black. You know what I mean? Shit, to me, I'm for everything that's Black. So this is the thing, man. It's systemic. It's ingrained in us, low key. And I know the reaction is, we don't want to blame it on the fatherless home, but that's a factor, because he may not have that discipline, that control of his emotion. And it's just so much that goes into the mind frame of an individual when their behavior is not foundational. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot, man. And I feel sorry that she had to experience that. I feel sorry that he had to experience that, because it's going to be traumatic for the rest of his life if he has to get counseling on that immediately, because then it becomes a thing. And women are super powerful, man. So I say
so powerful,
super powerful. So I think, to James' point, we should be offering ourselves at their service, at their will. I think something to be said about looking at them like our sisters, like our like how you look at your mother, or like treat them how you see your sister, your real sister. Like, if we begin to love them how we love our own, then I think that's the first step, and there are other steps to do, but I think immediately is to love as if they're our own. And then I would say also to ask questions, ask, how do you want to be loved? It's a lot, man. We're all traumatized, and these are the effects of it, right? And these are the things that we need to come in and provide solutions for. So this is a very important topic, and I just think, I think we're prepared to tackle that topic with real solutions. But on the surface, I'll say that I value women, man. I just want to talk about the Susan B. Anthony movement, and to translate that into today's time, it's almost like this is what that energy comes from, right? Because if you guys remember, Susan B. Anthony led the rights to vote movement, and so those type of energies can't be forgotten for their work and for their efforts and what they've done, because right now we're at that same moment where we can't let up in terms of forgetting why we're here. So every issue that comes with our problem, it's going to be our responsibility to heal that problem and to attack that problem, in real time. Like, I would advise all Black men to start looking at their women, not the ones that they love and they're attracted to, but just women in general, right? And I want to blame the media for that, low key, because of how it's perceived in hip hop and R&B and music videos, right? So that goes into that too. But we all have to take responsibility. We all have to have that mindset at the high level so it can trickle down the right way.
Yes, thank you for that, Kev. Because before we get to Zoe and the solutions, I need us to take a hard look at ourselves, because it does us no good if we point the finger at other Black men and we don't take accountability ourselves. And I think that in the space that we're in now, we have an opportunity to make sure that we're raising these younger guys the right way. There were some points where we were the guidance and we were mature for our age, but we made a lot of mistakes. Like, we're blessed to be in a fraternity to be able to provide guidance for young lives, for young men. And if we are irresponsible, we'll drop that ball and they are deemed to make the same mistakes as us. And there are, in terms of calling women out their name, if you're going to try to play around, treat each of these women with respect, be honest, don't play around. It's that respect factor that I think is missing and is lacking. And I think it's there where we'll get a chance to see some solutions and we can find some love. But Zoe, for the audience, can you repeat? Go ahead.
Yeah, before I get to solutions, I did want to give a little historical content to it, because I think this is something, like Kev said, from ingrained. It's ingrained in us the same way racism is ingrained in us as American society, right?
When you say us, do you mean men?
Americans, it's meaning like for Black people, Black Americans, right?
Okay.
Because even in the times of slavery, right, that whole Willie Lynch stuff affected more than just Black on Black with men and colorism and all that. There's so many things that came affected from that, like them raping the Black female in front of you and you can't do nothing, or you didn't do nothing. Psychologically now creates I guess I don't need him kind of aspect of it. You see what I'm saying? And then that divides the two. You see what I'm saying? It divides the man and the female, because she will feel less protected. You see what I'm saying? Like, yo, you didn't protect me.
But do you think it's I don't need you, or because I think we can't speak for them?
No, need comes from I feel like that's a defense mechanism of being angry. Like, of goodness, it's I really wanted, but you didn't show up. You know what I mean? Or you didn't do your part. So therefore, like, but it's deeper than just like hip hop and all that contributed to it, but it goes further back, splitting the family up, splitting the households up, and all of that stuff plays a part into it, to where it's like I said, it's the dog chasing his tail, right? So they split the family up, which then could potentially build resentment of the Black woman towards the Black man, and then we then act out what they are resenting, like the whole niggas ain't shit and all this other stuff. And I used to wonder, like, well, what niggas you talking about? Because where you looking? Yeah, I mean, but then it's a domino effect that comes right back around. It's like if they put all the dominoes in the circle. And I think that's something that just keeps happening. And we have to end the cycle. It's an ongoing bad cycle.
Yeah, but that's where I'm going to have to challenge you in terms of it's our fault.
For sure.
Just like we blame white people for knowing and still acting. When you hear, like, we know what was wrong. And I think that it's moments like this where us five, can use our influence to tell the people who are in our circles that, like, nah, just not how you treat Black women. And I think that there's been times where, if we go back to slavery, I'm with you, Zoe, there was times where there was a separation. But I think the fact of them being unprotected starts there. But there is many chances between then and now for us to step up to be there for them. And I think, and I talked to Lynette about this, and this was important to me. She said, we had the niggas ain't shit conversation. And I was like, to be honest, Lynette, I don't know that many dudes that operate like that. Are we speaking about a majority or a minority? And she said, we're talking about enough. There are enough men operating outside themselves and acting out. And I'm like, fuck, because it's not about us. It's not about how we're doing our jobs, but there is enough men out there disrespecting, demeaning, slapping, abusing, physically, mentally, psychologically, that it makes us feel like we have to do more. But that word enough fucked me up, yo.
So really quickly, I'm sorry, Cleveland. With Joe was saying, right? So obviously historical context always plays a part with everything, whether it's this situation, whether it's systemic racism, right? All those things historically plays a part. In terms of like one solution that we can kind of think about as Black men, especially if we want to think historical context that kind of transition from generation to generation. One thing that we need to do is we need to unpack our bullshit, right? As Black men. And we need to do that by seeking therapy, which is frowned upon a lot of ways in this community.
Gym time.
Right. So one of the solutions around this is to make that make therapy that's not like a stigma, right? Make it a good thing. We got to open up and have more conversations about that openly, about, seeking help, because if as Black men, we don't get to the root of as to why we feel the need that we can do this, whether it's we think we have power over people, or we had a missing father figure in our life, or we seen our other men treat our mothers that way, or our sisters that way when we were younger. You just seen it growing up, whatever it is, right? Psychologically, there's something to that, right? And it's incumbent upon us to put in the work to get better as men. And I'm saying not just us, but as men, to really make sure that we can make change. Because if we don't take that stigma out of our community in terms of seeking help and speaking to somebody, I don't think we're actually going to see a change in terms of how Black women perceive Black men, because it's always going to be enough that will continue doing what they're doing.
Go ahead, Cleveland.
That was well said. I think in terms of, I was literally going down that same road in terms of unpacking, being introspective and unpacking why we feel it's appropriate to treat women in a specific way. When you think about it, I was listening to a podcast called Ratchet and Respectable. It's a Black woman. Her name is Demetria L. Lucas, and it's a dope podcast. But she was talking to her father, and he shared a story of how back in the day he was in college and he was walking a young lady to get some ice cream. A white cop pulled up and started calling her all kinds of crazy stuff, saying, "Oh, that's a sexy Black bee, yada yada yada." He was like, "Man, I don't even like talking about it, because the feeling that I felt helpless. Like I felt like it was nothing that I could do." So imagine having that feeling. Imagine being married. Imagine going home and being harassed by white people all day, and then going home and having no outlet. And the only place that you feel comfortable is your home, but having no outlet for that frustration outside of the home. So you bring that frustration inside of the home. But it's still incumbent upon us to understand why we're feeling this way, to understand why we're so angry, to understand why we feel so helpless, and understand why we're taking it out on those who are closest to us and love us the most. We have to take responsibility for that and seek help. So I was going down the same path, man. I think that's really important to know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. And on, go ahead, Kev. Go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing a lot, and I was just gonna say I like what James said, man. And that kind of goes into, we have to redefine the standard of Black man, and introducing that culture into the space the right way, man. We got to bring all that back. Like, we need R&B music, y'all. Like, we need it. We need the culture to shift, from that perspective. And
directions, like R&B music, kind of provide directions.
I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell you, you gotta start with that.
Turn off the lights, light a candle.
All of that, man.
Or Johnny Gill, My. He gave you all the directions.
Right. Oh, he told her what to wear and everything.
Oh, all right, never mind. We can't do that. We can't tell women what to do, especially black women. My bad. Fuck you,
but
Johnny.
one thing is though that is very important to consider. I thought about this, in conversation is that there is a lot of issues that we have. There's a lot of like health issues within the black women's culture that we probably don't even know about. Like, did you guys know that 80% of black women are at risk of fibroids?
No, 80 is a lot. 80% of everything is a fucking lot.
You know what fibroids are? I'm gonna tell y'all. Fibroids are like tumors in the uterus, basically. All right, so it's 80% of women are black, and being black is a risk factor, basically, which is kind of crazy in itself, right? When you think about it. So these are things that like goes into knowing about our sisters. And I just happened to kind of come across this research just recently, and because of just everything else, but this is the things that like we need to know about. We need to be more advocate of it. Like, I think it's interesting because it's multidimensional, because we're talking about being brothers, being lovers, being husbands, being, it's like, even if you don't feel the attachment, there's ways to introduce like that relationship or bring that relationship on as a support mechanism. I think it's kind of crazy, man. We have a sick mind, low key, in terms of like how we see sex in our black women and how they're sexamized. Essentially, I made that word up, but they are like sexamized.
They are
like fucking. Let's go with sexamized. Let's go with sexamized.
Sexamized. No, it's real, man. It's real, and because of that, it's hard to see, I think, from the culture past that. And women, I would challenge women though. Sure, go ahead. Jump in, but I would challenge women. I'm probably gonna say that as like
that challenge real quick, Kev. Hold that challenge, Kev, because I got something that
for sure.
My sister sent me, right, and it's to add to what you was just saying, right. So it said, we most likely praise black women for how much they can, how much abuse they can endure, strength, how much emotional labor they can provide us. That alone is dehumanizing. Think about what you're contributing to, and please listen to black women on this. You're causing them harm, right? Then it said, the support and glorification of black women is also very one-dimensional, right? Now, this is what Kev was saying. It mostly focuses on what they can do for men and everyone else. It's a support that isn't reciprocated over some of the social issues that affect them, like misogynism, sexism, and colorism. So that kind of exactly what Kev was hitting at.
Nah, that's a fact. And the more we speak to black women, the more you understand that our journeys are different. We as men, despite being black or whatever, we do have a privilege because our voices will be heard and taken as fact before a black woman. And it's like in different spaces, it's kind of up to us to stick up and stand up for them in that space. Before it's lost, before we transition, because we can talk about this shit all day. I want to get to the solutions that Morgan provided for us. So we can talk about that before we wrap up.
Okay, so one of the solutions was, her main thing is communication, right? So communication is her main thing. So one of her solutions was the communication aspect, right? And communicating between the two, and expressing your feelings. So like part of it is listening. And it's funny because as my sister and I were talking, we thought about like the whole thing about what James said last week about having a conversation when she's venting from work, and you just I'm just like instead of I'm not going, because every guy has the excuse, which is not really an excuse, it's just our nature. Like, we're gonna problem solve, we want to get to the bottom of it, whatever.
Yeah,
we do need to do more listening and less directive of you should this or you should that or whatever. Because a lot of times what we fail to realize is Black women have it under control anyway.
Bro.
They wanted to just say just because you're supposed to be there or they support, but they have it under control. It's always been like that.
They know exactly what they're going to do, yo. They know exactly what they're going to do when they share the story.
The reason moms are, if Zoe's mom come around, I'm listening too, inherently, right? But all of a sudden, like, so moms have that respect, but all of a sudden when men get older, we start feeling like we understand shit more. No, nigga, we don't. Yeah. Black women they get it. They understand. We should just fucking listen to them.
I second that, man. I really do. So like one of the things that I'm really starting to appreciate is the perspective of Black women just in general. My wife is a strong Black woman, but I work with a lot of strong Black women, and their perspectives that they offer, I don't even see it from the angles that they see it most times. And like, sometimes I get jealous, like, yo, that was exactly the way I should have said it, but you just framed it better than me because of the perception, man. It's like, it's needed. It's important.
Thanks.
Did I freeze?
A little bit, but we got you.
All right.
All right, give us the other two, Zoe. Yeah.
So the other one was the rules of engagement. So, like persistence versus harassment and the cat calling and all that stuff. Like we can't even get to
cat calls. Yo, people still cat call, dog,
bro. Yes,
I'm walking in New York City street, bro. It ain't even really. It's not really considered what we know as cat calling. It's really on some like air or show that like it's some stuff just don't change. Yo.
Through the COVID mask though.
Right, that's what I'm
saying. Yo, you first of all, you know Black people always violent. They be like this. Hey yo, bro, put your mask back on.
Hold on, Zoe. You gotta explain what you did for the listeners.
You
couldn't see
that. Pull the mask down. You have to pull them. They always pull the mask down. Let their nose and mouth expose.
Pause. I got a pause moment coming up.
They defeat the purpose, but like realistically, like it's the rules of engagement because you have to know how to address people. You know what I'm saying? And some of that may come from home training because kids been having kids and there's no old school training. Because we even went to details as such as like making a plate.
Mm-hmm.
And saying that some of her friends and people were saying like, yo, that's down south. I'm like, no, it's not a north or a south or it's an old school. It's a time frame, not a geographic area. It was an old school thing, like the origin of making a plate.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's just the man used to bring home the bacon, cook the bacon, he in the shower, the food is ready when he comes to sit down. That's old school. So you make the plate. Obviously, things are way different than that, you know, because women are working.
I was a little worried about where you was going for a little second.
No, I'm saying, but this is what she was telling me. This is not me. This is her saying like that's some conversations are arguing and
right
down to basic rules of how they operate together. So it was like certain things like that. And then also she was saying like how I'm sure y'all have all seen it on the internet, like how it says, "What can you do for me?" Right. So
right.
They say Black men looking at Black men was, what have you done for me lately and what can you do for me? And that isn't right without assessing, well, what do you bring into the table?
Mm-hmm.
And even the jokes are like, what can Black women do? Like that whole PS5 thing. Like, it's like, yo, who getting me one or how you getting me one? Is you buying me one? Like, I don't know nothing about that. I've never seen a female that actually like buy me stuff like that. I mean, obviously I'm married now, so it's different, but like, dating wise, I was broke because of them.
No, it's different, man. I'm trying to tell y'all, the culture has shifted dramatically. Like, you know, like I don't want to come off wild in saying this, but it's just Black women aren't viewed as women in terms of action. Like men are not treating Black women. We're birthing them. We're forcing them to have babies. We don't want to be there to support
mm-hmm.
that. You know, and that tells you a lot, right, within itself. You know, because it's interesting, man. If you think about the five of us, we all know our fathers. Mm-hmm. We all have relationships with our fathers.
Yeah.
Okay, And that's a rare occurrence within our community, within our culture. And that taught us a lot. So when you think about not having that influence, you know, you just have whatever you've learned from whoever you've learned from. And then you have this resentment within you because of, you know, you haven't healed, you haven't expressed that, you haven't seek counseling, you haven't talked to anyone about that. So Malcolm X said it the best, man. It's, you know, he said that all the time, that Black women is the most disrespected group of people on this earth. And it's true, because we've been removed from our family, and it's kind of, I hate to blame it on systemic racism, but these are the effects of it, right, at its natural form. You know, I hate to kind of sound like that person, but in reality, that's the truth. Like, the truth of the matter is, you know, we know the issue now. We have to take the responsibility again to help support Black women.
And that's exactly where I want to leave us off at. I think we spoke about a lot of the history. We spoke about a lot of our ignorance. But I think as we transition out of this topic, which we're bound to revisit time and time again, I want to just end with, Black women, we love you. We support you. We'll do our best to protect you. You are our preference. You are our mothers, our sisters, our cousins, our nieces, our nephews, not nephews, nieces.
Our wives and our girlfriends.
Definitely our girlfriends.
That's another topic for different.
Go ahead, Kev.
But I want to just add like 2 more solutions to what Zoe added.
Go ahead.
And Black women can be supported by Black men by removing their pride. So Black men, we need to remove our pride and allow women, and allow and welcome competition as growth within women, you know, by letting go of their patriarchal ways. So think about, you know, like uplifting women, you know, and not being so prideful about who you are, what you have going on.
Damn, how we get so far without mentioning ego? How the fuck we get so far without mentioning ego?
Gotta throw that out there real quick. And the last one I'm gonna throw out there was, take the time to show special care, positive attention to Black women. You see a Black woman in the street, you say hello to her, you make sure she's okay. Not, what's up, ma? Yep. Like, nah. I'm not saying like you shouldn't try to holler at her, but make sure she's okay first. You know what I mean? Make sure she is okay first. Make sure, you know, you genuinely want to walk her home. Make sure you genuinely want to make sure she gets to where she needs to get to. That's a gem within itself. Y'all can't bag after that, then y'all shouldn't have no business.
It's not just
catcalling nobody.
Yo, but it's mad funny because one of my homies, the way he like kind of catcalls when we in the car, we walking down the street, is he catcalls with compliments. So he'll say like, "What's up?" Like, you know, my beautiful queen, or "What's up, queen," or whatever it is. How you doing? It's awkward for me because he don't give me no heads up. Like, we could just be walking and he just shout it out. And then if a chick like dismiss him or like, you know, pretty much fade him, like, "Yo, get out of here," or walk or whatever, and he'll say something like, "The only thing is a smile on your face," or like, you have a blessed life, queen. Like, I ain't mad at you. Like, it's weird. It's like he's reversing the normal of FUB or whatever. It's so strange to me. But I don't know if he genuinely means it or not. But it's weird.
He don't.
I'm about to say that he don't.
He don't.
It's just a different way of using derogatory terms.
Yo, I heard from Lynette, bro. I'm telling you. Lynette told me, now Lynette's not the dictionary, but this is funny.
Shout out to Lynette, though. I haven't talked to Lynette in a minute. Shout out to Lynette.
Check on her, son. So she told me that Queen is on the list of sweetheart, baby, and shorty. So Queen has been elevated, and she told me why. She was like, "Do y'all know what a hotep is?"
Yeah, but
what?
Guys call King. What's up, King?
All right, a hotep is a very articulate but like fuckboy. He's a super Afrocentric fuckboy. So he approaches with the "What's going on, Queen?" He probably got incense and sage in his backpack. He's always with the queen and like king, and you know, he might do yoga, but like he's still a fuckboy. His exterior is like welcoming and like very, very like very, like approachable, but he's scum on the inside. So
I don't know that until then, though. Like,
that's why he has a term. Go ahead.
But this is hold on. So this is the thing, right? One, I agree You know, if they're using queen, whatever the situation is, if it's not a derogatory term, they definitely still mean it that way, because you giving people, you saying hi to people, they didn't ask you to say hi to them. Therefore, they don't need to respond back to you. And if they don't respond back to you, no matter what you say, it was uncalled for, right? Now, with that being said, we'll go a little left here. That being said,
okay, your seatbelts,
right? I have seen this. I've seen people, quote unquote, catcall a woman or a girl, whatever the case was, and they were okay with it because they were genuinely attracted to that person. But it was different. Listen, hold on. I know I'm going left when I said I was going to go left a little bit, but this is not the norm. This is not the majority. This is definitely probably the
parental
minority.
Discretion is advised.
Yeah. But I have seen that, right? So my question is, and maybe we need to get somebody on, is so how do you now go about trying to get someone's attention, right?
This is, man.
What do you do now? Like, because you obviously, I don't think at any point in time screaming, "Hey, yo, baby," that ever an option, right? I don't think that was ever.
It worked. It had to have worked. It had to have worked. It had to have worked.
Sometimes
someone fell for that.
Right.
So let me draw a line in the sand. Let me draw a line in the sand. We are transitioning from the Black women segment, and we are now transitioning into the what is acceptable in trying to holler at a girl these days.
Well, the communication. This is the rules of engagement.
So how do you communicate though? Like what is it? I mean, again, this is not for me or any of us for that matter. Right. This is more so for the public. People want to know, and I think that's something we got to do in terms of getting somebody on. Is what do you do to communicate or try to get someone attention to say hello? Now, you can walk up to them and say hello, but if that person is not attracted to you, they may think that you're catcalling, or they may think like you're not treating them with respect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, so again, if they like you, or if they like it, if they look at you, it's like, oh, okay, maybe I'll have that conversation with them. But if they don't, or if they're not interested, then maybe it's considered catcalling or it's rude or whatever the case is. I don't know, right? And it's kind of hard for me to judge because I have been out the game now for over 10 years.
Since 98.
But, right? But it's like, what do you do now?
Jesus, right? Modest.
What is it that people do now when they're actually trying to talk to a person of the opposite sex or the same, whatever you're interested in?
Oh, shit.
Yo, wasn't there a Instagram meme like, if it's Idris Elba, it's flirting, but if it's Flavor Flav, it's sexual assault.
We're not laughing at sexual assault. We're laughing at the meme.
I'm just saying, like that's what kind of
make it clear.
That's what you was getting at. Like, what the looks and how you feel about a person does play a little bit part.
Paint the picture, Zoe. Paint the picture of where you being cute versus you being not attractive can work in your favor, and when you're trying to speak to a woman that you don't know.
Oh, it happened in several different ways. In the club, you going to dance with a girl, you just come up to her, start dancing. They homegirl look at you, they assess you up and down. If you ugly, they'll pull a girl away. Girl. And then if the homegirl don't pull away, she do the glance back, look at
infamous
hater. That right there speaks volumes on how we operate. I'm not saying it's acceptable, it's cool, but it's very weird because that's how we find out whether it's acceptable or not.
That was a pull-up. That was what we pulled up.
You pulling up from 3, Kev? Like, am I in range? Will this go in?
In the dark. Okay. No, it's each one. It's teach one model, and at the time, I think we all had our experiences. I think it all started with dancing, middle school, first dance or whatever that was.
The origin of getting
taking
curved.
It back,
grinding,
the grinding,
not knowing what you're doing,
not knowing who baby mama, whose child daughter you are or infiltrating on at the time. It was an interesting time, man. It could be perceived as innocent given the age, but then you take it back to like the intentions and the action, and it's not romantic.
We didn't have those intelligences at the
Yeah.
time. You're just moving off instinct. And it's funny because girls' instinct back then was still to curve you if you was ugly.
Yeah,
So it's like they bred from birth to curve guys who are
they hit you with that look back.
No sir. No sir. So let's get deep into it. How many times have you been hit with the look back?
I don't know anybody that's undefeated in the game. Okay, I don't know anybody. Not one soul is undefeated in the game.
I have been at the cup. I've been at the cup. I made my hop step, and all I heard was, got my shit swatted.
No one is undefeated.
No one is undefeated.
I don't care who you are.
Right.
Like nobody's
undefeated. Gotta be prepared for that outcome.
I definitely had to miss finger roll.
Yeah, but what is it? Is it worse if you approach Dolo, or you had that confidence like, nah, be my man coming through, and you and your boy go over?
Dolo, I don't want y'all.
No, you gotta go Dolo. But when you go with your boy and your boy, they just chick dance with your boy, and then her friend turns you down. Nah, you guys just like stand there, like, nah, that's.
Bro,
that's terrible.
It's the most agonizing.
Yo, y'all taking it
back.
Yo,
you like, I hate this song. I fucking hate this song.
I don't even like this song anyway.
Yo, you ready?
See, but tying this back to the conversation we had. What's your approach to that, right? How do you respond? Do you just take it because
walk to the bar?
That's her respect.
That's what's key.
Hold on.
Do you say
Cleveland.
F this, and that?
Hold on, Cleveland. That was a very astute assessment by Brother Corey over here, because the part that we left out back then was in the last segment about Black women was like ego. Mm-hmm. When she danced with your man, and you are left to stand there in solidarity by yourself, your ego was
just
like
your head down.
Do you just like, man, or you just start 2-stepping by yourself if you're confident?
If you're confident, yeah. If you're confident, you two-step by step.
So you got just two-step and just turn around and go to the next person
and recruit from there. Yeah, for sure.
Nowadays, you could go to the bar, right? Or you got your drink. But it was really bad before we was in these like teen eras where like you ain't have no drink. You couldn't go.
You got nothing in your hand. Go ahead, Cleveland.
Bar get a soda.
Nah, I was just saying, I think that's what it's about. I don't know if it's so much about to an extent it's about the approach, but it's really about your reaction to their reaction.
Yep.
Then we can start to change, right? So the approach, without having like someone on the show to tell us, all right, that's cool, that's not. The approach kind of seems like it's like up in the air right now. Sometimes it's acceptable, sometimes this is acceptable, sometimes it's not. But our reaction is always on us, right? So if I get the look back and she like, nah, I can't be like, well, F you then. Like, you know what I'm saying?
You gotta eat that.
Nah, but sidebar. But that, it's funny because that's what Var and I used to have a thing, right, Paul, where we used to be like, we used to say, yo, whether we was driving or we was going in the club or whatever it is we was about to do.
Barbecue, kickback.
And we know there was females right there before. It was like a pep talk. And I think that it merges what Var was saying and what James was saying. Ego combined with the response, right? So if you put your ego in your pocket and don't even worry about it, getting played and just say, yo, it's gonna happen. It's like playing ball. You're gonna lose something. You win something.
You're gonna miss.
Yeah, and you can't make every shot. No one's 100%. So when you go to talk to a female or whatever it is, if in your back of your mind you're like, yo, if she play me, oh well, I'm gonna keep it moving on to the next slide. Right foot up, left foot slide. That's what you got to do. Because we used to literally say to each other, yo, you ready to get played? He like, yeah, yo. Word up. You're like, let's get played. And we go, cool.
There was nothing more gratifying than going to talk to a girl if I already knew her answer was going to be no. I'm going in feeling like, man, fuck it. What's the worst she can say? No. And if she say no, then I could just take my little, take my pride, throw it over my shoulder, and walk away and keep it moving. But when you go
that's real G.
Go ahead, Zoe.
Agree with females. This is the only thing I don't like to victim blame or do any of that. But the one thing I will say in this topic specifically, like hollering at, I don't think you should go out your way to try to embarrass me either on your no.
That's as funny as that is very, very true. Like
real talk.
Yo, just embarrass me. Like, you ain't had to do all that.
Yeah, ain't had to do all that. It could have been polite.
But we got to think about it too. Zoe, you could have been 100 person. You could have been 100 person that went to go talk to her, right?
Right.
And at this point, it got to the point where it was just too much.
Yeah,
and that was her response.
But that's what I'm saying. But you can't.
Zoe, like, but it's me.
Right? This is my first time. I ain't doing this 100 times.
I don't want nothing to do with him. Like each person, so you can't. You know what I mean? You can't do that. That's like when you come home from work, everybody made you mad. Now I'm gonna scream on you. Like, yo, hold up. I ain't got nothing to do with it.
I was gonna say, Zoe, if your daughters are like bothering you when you come home from work, and then like for the 15th time, you're like, we ain't got no juice. It don't matter which one of them started it. And here she comes. We ain't got no juice. But yeah, like it is interesting how, I mean, we all out the game, but I'm gonna be real. I'm glad I'm not in it these days, bro, because
for sure
it's so much. You have internet, Instagram and Twitter and Facebook at its all-time high. People don't even exchange numbers anymore. They give you the IG, right, which I think is weird. Maybe because we old. But like the lines are blurred in terms of there isn't a manual on how to approach each other these days. A lot of these kids grew up on the internet, so the interpersonal skills are lacking. B, there's a new influx of needed rules about how to, like, what consent is, which is important because at a young age you have to know what consent is. You have to know when no means no.
Always does.
And you have to know that. But there's this influx of young men coming along with no guidance that don't know those rules, so they continue to violate. So I'm glad we came up in the area that we came up in because we were always respectful, but we also know how to take our L's. We knew how to take our L's because that's important.
You make a really strong point there. I think it's about the company too. Zoe mentioned it. You just mentioned it. You and Zoe had a conversation before y'all went somewhere like you ready to get played. So y'all already knew like this is probably going to happen. Y'all already probably had in mind like how I'm going to react when it happens. But it's about the company that you keep. Y'all knew like we ain't gonna wild out when we get played because it's gonna happen anyway.
Right.
Like, other people don't know that.
Small wins. If she say yes, it's like for real. I mean, yeah, for sure. For sure.
To me, you talking?
So this is my thinking. My mentality has been when I was out in the field.
Shoot from the hip.
It was shoot from the hip, and if she says no, it's because she doesn't know how to say yes, or she's talking to somebody.
Damn.
Straight up. I felt that. I felt like it's the bad timing because her girl's hair and it's something she can't. It's
a man around.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and make it sound like it was my mentality. So that allowed me to feel comfortable to take a no. Essentially, that was my way of. It's not me. It's not a personal. It was not personal. It's ultimately.
That's a great. What Kev just did is like he found a way to soothe his ego. You gotta have a soft landing. Like, oh nah, I look good. I smell good today. Like it ain't me. Obviously, it's other things that she got going on. She's not ready for nobody right now. That's fine.
So to the extent of that, straight up, and that's just the way I dealt with my nose. You know, like I said, we all missed. We all took shots. We all missed. We all made some, but we all missed a lot. Probably missed a lot more than we made.
And I'm not going to go deep into this conversation because this gentleman happens to be married. There was one brother on the call that used to shoot 75% from 3-pointers, and his name is he happens to move into California pretty soon. He didn't miss very often when he approached.
When he got to the line.
When he got to the line, it was usually a swish. But we're not going to go that far at this moment because all I'll say is peach sweater. Peach sweater. That's all we gotta say is peach sweater.
Hey, boy, that peach sweater done did me.
Mr. Express himself.
Word up.
Oh, that was fire. Mr. Express himself. Okay. I see what he did. Mr. Express himself. Mr. Express himself. I got it.
Oh, man.
My God.
That was good time. Good times.
Yeah. So I guess we're coming to the end of this episode, but I wanted to get, before we move on to the Serenity Prayer, I did want to get your thoughts on a lot of these companies making Juneteenth a federal holiday, which happens to be this upcoming Friday, which commemorates the ending of slavery. Started in Texas, and it became a holiday as more of a Black Independence Day as opposed to July 4th. So I wanted to hear y'all perspective on Juneteenth becoming more of a federal holiday for certain companies.
Well, being that I'm OD pro-Black and I have my own company, I actually put it on all my contracts a few years ago, like 3 years ago. So they may not have noticed or paid attention, but I know they paid me my time and a half for it.
Yeah, so I think that, like I was mentioned earlier in the podcast, that you don't know how genuine this is. You don't know if they're just following trends or following the fad and what's going on right now. But as I mentioned, there's always, better late than never, right? I'm glad that they're actually jumping on board. The company I currently work for, they're not making it a paid holiday in a sense. What they're doing is more so educating around Juneteenth. So they are working with different organizations to provide information about Juneteenth, exactly what it is, the historical concept behind it, how it came about, things like that. So, I understand, the company I work for, a consumer bank, they need to be open for other customers. I get it. Right. But the fact that they're trying to do something at least to educate people, educate their employees. A lot of them are white individuals. So that's still, pretty good. So now that they actually know about it.
Nice. Better late than never. How about the rest of y'all? How y'all feeling about it?
To be honest, with everything that's going on with major corporations in general, I'm cautious with giving them too much credit for anything they're doing in this moment, only because we've been here before. This is 2020. It feels like 2014 and 2016, right? Where Black people were getting killed on camera, and these same companies that are now like adamantly standing against systemic racism in this country are now doing something at this point that they weren't willing to do 4, 5, 6 years ago when similar things were happening. So because of that, I'm cautiously optimistic that maybe something is actually different and something is changing now. I think only time will tell, man. I think to you said something earlier that I think applies to this, which is this is not a moment, it's a movement. And how this energy continues to go moving forward would say more to me than what it actually means in this moment right now. Right. A lot of attention on the topic. So I think ultimately you get paid for celebrating Juneteenth, which is awesome. You know what I'm saying? It's not a bad thing, but I just wonder what the true motivations and intentions are from the corporate standpoint.
How about you, KV?
Man, I'm embracing it. I'm gonna take it as a win, and I know there's a lot of more work to be done, but it's something. I'm gonna take it, and they may not be internally ready, but people like Jack Dorsey and those the CEOs are trying to implement it to their culture, and I haven't heard too much about how policy's been implemented, like whether it's going to be paid leave or paid time off. I don't really know the ins and outs of that, but I would say the fact that it has to stick, though, and I agree with Cleveland 100%. I think the you know, and I'm being more generous in Cleveland, but I will say that I'll take any small victories, and I will keep the momentum, and I'll use this momentum as shifting, as adding to the momentum that we also want to create. So we got to start somewhere. So if this is where we're starting, I think we're off to a pretty decent start, right. And let's just keep it going. You know, just keep it going.
I'm in agreement with all of you. To Zoe's point about the awareness not being there and him having to put that in his contracts, fire, because now that it's going to be a holiday for certain companies, they do know. Also, to James and Cleveland's point around better late than never, it's true, because now that causes people to wonder why. What is this? Why? Because they're going to be appreciative that they have the day off, first of all. And hopefully they get a chance to understand, like, why is that? Because, you know, Black people, we be having Memorial Day off. We don't know nobody in the service. We be like, I mean, fuck it. We off.
We celebrate it.
And to Kev's point, I agree. Small victories, small wins. It's a step in the right direction. And it gives us an opportunity to have our voices heard, to celebrate some of our history, our specific history. And it gives us an opportunity to reflect on all that we've been through. So yeah, as we wrap up, I want to pass the ball to my man Alonzo so we can wrap up with the serenity prayer.
Okay. Well, I just want to say I'm glad that I got a chance this week to be included with you guys. It's always good talking to you. Considering the fact that we're all in different states, well, except for me and James, but the rest of y'all are spread out. And I do pray every single day. I worry as all of us step outside our house, because as we see all type of crazy stuff happening left and right, because we have a target on our back. Mm-hmm. So with that said, I will do every time to start off the following week is we will ask God to grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Mm-hmm. And with that, okay, go ahead.
You should say, man, love our sisters, man. Check out Essence Magazine, Essence Challenge on Instagram and Twitter. Hashtag that. Check it out. Support the movement.
Yes, Girl Podcast.
Black women, we love you.
We love you. We love y'all. We love y'all. We love y'all.
All right. And with that, until next week, we'll see y'all.
Peace.